In today's video, we're continuing our NHL Season Preview series. We're now jumping to the Eastern Conference in the Big Apple to explore the New York Rangers. Are they going to be able to take some steps forward this year and get back into being a playoff contender? We'll discuss that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned today, we're continuing on with our season previews and taking a look at the New York Rangers, one of the younger, more exciting teams around the league. Certainly had a successful rebuild, or at least it appears that way. Acquired a lot of young, exciting pieces. And are they ready to take the next step forward and contend for a playoff spot and become more competitive in that sense this year? So before we discuss that, we are going to jump back a little bit, take a look at how last season went, explore their team results and who their team leaders were with goals, assists, and points. And then we're going to take a look at how this team has changed, who's left, who's come in as the new additions, and what are the predictions and what's the lineup looking like moving forward into the upcoming year. So let's start by recapping the 2021 NHL season that we saw for the Rangers last year. Now, of course, it was a 56-game campaign. Of course, the Rangers ended up, like all the teams, in different divisions. They ended up playing in the Eastern Division last year with regional-based only games and a shortened campaign. They ended up in fifth place with 60 points with a record of 27, 23, and 6. And because of that, they did end up missing the playoffs. So obviously, they're hoping to take some steps forward this year and get higher into the standings. They finished with 177 goals for, which was 11th best, not too bad. They also only allowed 157 goals against for 14th best. So that gives them a plus 20 rating of all the teams that missed the playoffs. I do believe that was the best, and it's kind of unusual in a way for a team that low in the standings to have that good of a goal differential as well. So it goes to show you that there's a lot of things going well with the Rangers, but they certainly have some steps forward to take here. Their power play was decent as well at 20.7. The PK was 82.3. There was a lot to go well and a lot to like. Of course, they did end up cleaning house, though, after the Tom Wilson, Artemi Panarin situation. We saw Jeff Gordon and John Davidson be let go. And then at the end of the year, new GM Chris Drury did relieve David Quinn as well. And they have a whole new staff there, including Gerard Gallant and Chris Drury at the helm now for the Rangers. Their team leaders were led by Artemi Panarin in points with 58, which includes 17 goals and 41 assists. Mika Zibanejad was next, leading the way in goals with 24 goals and 26 assists for 50 points. Ryan Strome, 14 goals, 33 assists for 49 points. Actually, make that 35 assists, for 49 points. And then, of course, Adam Fox, the Norris Trophy winner at such a young age with 5 goals and 42 assists for 47 points. Had a very impressive season at such a young age, as I mentioned. Quite a feat. They've got themselves quite a young dynamic defender there for a long time to come. It's going to be interesting to see what his next contract looks like, as well as guys like Mika Zibanejad, Ryan Strome. They do have some guys on expiring deals. Be interesting to see how those situations play out throughout the year. But now let's take a look at how this team has changed. We've talked about how the leadership and the coaching staff has changed. Let's take a look now at the exits on who's left this organization during this offseason. We saw a trade with St. Louis, sending Pavel Buchnevich out of town. Obviously, he had a real solid year last year, was a pending RFA, and was going to be difficult for them to sign and keep in the mix with their cap situation. So certainly, he was traded mostly for those reasons. I do think it's fair to say. We saw Colin Blackwell leave the Rangers, end up going to the Seattle Kraken in the expansion draft. So obviously, that's going to hurt a little bit. Defenseman Brendan Smith, who's been there for quite some time, departs via free agency, goes to Carolina. Phil DiGiuseppe as well also departs via free agency. We saw Brett Howden be traded. Tony DeAngelo, of course, who was technically part of the Rangers to the end of the year, was bought out, and essentially he goes to Carolina here as well. And of course, Jack Johnson, who was there on a brief stint last year, also leaves the organization. So nothing really too significant going out. The Buchnevich trade and the Blackwell loss to Seattle, by far the most significant. As far as new players coming in, let's take a look at who they've added to replace those players and see if they can take some steps forward. Now, of course, leading the way is Barclay Goodrow, who they acquired before free agency via trade to get his signing rights from the Tampa Bay Lightning. He comes in on a longer-term contract after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups in Tampa. They traded for Ryan Reeves from Vegas. Of course, like I said, because of that Panarin situation with Tom Wilson, they made it clear they want it to be tougher and harder to play against and have some more muscle in the lineup. Ryan Reeves is one of the most feared guys when it comes to fighting, at least in the NHL. So certainly that should help in that regard, make everybody rest a little bit easier knowing he's there to have their back. They acquired Sammy Blais from St. Louis in the Buchnevich trade. Very different kind of player from Buchnevich, but certainly somebody who's not afraid to play physical and be tough to play against as well. And on the back end, they added some size with Jerard Fagerberg, another guy not afraid to drop the gloves and be physical. And they also added Patrick Nemeth as well. So nothing real super significant. The main things they've done here is they're trying to add some grit, determination, be tougher to play against, and add some guys that are not afraid to drop the mitts if necessary. Now, before we look at the projected lineup and talk about predictions, I do want to pause for a moment and acknowledge our channel sponsor, SJSTer Smart Wallets. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by SJSTer. Forbes calls SJSTer the most successful smart wallet brand in the world. They certainly have high quality products, high grade leather. You can put all your cards in your wallet with RFID protection, and you can track it worldwide. That's the best part. You don't have to worry about losing your wallet and not being able to track it down. They have a great selection of products to choose from here, a variety of colors and styles, something to surely help for everyone. As you can see in the demonstration here for the product I have, this is a beautiful packaging, high quality. When you open it up, you get a high quality wallet with lots of slots for your cards. You have yourself a money clip if you want to carry cash on you here as well. And certainly, as you can see, the quality is outstanding. And here you can see the switch where you can help open up your cards. You just one little click and boom, everything fans out right in front of you. Easy to access. Your cards are protected. And here's the back where you have yet another slot. A terrific overall product, and I can't recommend these enough. SJSTer ships worldwide, and you can check out the link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment to buy yours today. So thanks very much for watching that promotional content. I do greatly appreciate it, and we've had some good sales with them recently as well. So for those of you who have purchased, I thank you very much. And of course, if you're considering making a purchase or want to browse through their material a little bit further, there is a link down below in the pinned comment. So check them out. Now, going on to their lineup, we're going to head on to dailyfaceoff.com, who has line projections at this point for all 32 NHL teams. And these are mostly just like what you call a depth chart, so they may not be exact. Once teams go through training camp, start to play, they will update things based on actual lineups here that the NHL teams are actually, physically using. But fair to say at this point, we might see a top line of Mika Zibanejad with the two youngsters, Kaapo Kakko and Alexis Lafreniere. I think both youngsters are more ready to take a step forward in a more consistent top six role. So hopefully playing with Zibanejad would be the influence in the center they need to help fulfill their potential. So that could be a potential first line. We could have a second line of Ryan Strome, Artemi Panarin, and Vitaly Kravtsov. Of course, another youngster in Kravtsov ready to take that next step here with the Rangers this offseason, hopefully. Certainly a guy that was been in the organization now a couple of years and ready to take those next steps here to become a productive player. Third line very well could be Filipino, Chris Kreider, and Barclay Goodrow. That line's going to give you some skills, some speed, and some solid defensive play, some physical play as well. Could be a handful for a lot of teams on any given night, and also a line I think that could have the potential to step up and be more of a top six line if one of the other two lines just are not going as well at that given time. For example, you could kind of juggle things a little bit and give them some more ice time, and that very well could create a fourth line of Rooney, Sammy Blais, and Barron. Of course, you're going to have some other players in the mix there for spots as well, so be curious to see how the actual lineup actually plays out. But overall, I think things look pretty decent there for the forward group. Of course, on the blue line, nothing real too surprising here. You're likely going to get a pair of Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren. Obviously, those two players complement each other rather well. Filling out your top four are going to be Jacob Trouba and K-Andre Miller. Of course, Miller, the youngster. Trouba's got the long-term deal. Again, two guys that should be able to feed off each other relatively well there. And, of course, you have Patrick Nemeth possibly pairing with Nils Lundqvist on your third pair. Now, they may not line them up exactly like that, and there are some other D-men in the mix there for spots as well. But right now, that's what dailyfaceoff.com is projecting as your sixth defenseman to make the opening night lineup. And of course, between the pipes, you have goalies Igor Shesterkin and Alex Georgiev. So those two will continue to be your battery. Those two will continue to be the goalie tandem here for another year. And I do expect Shesterkin to take some more steps forward and get even better. As I know, he certainly seems to be capable of handling a big workload and producing some excellent results. Now, what are the Rangers going to be able to accomplish this year? Are they going to be able to battle for a playoff spot? And to be honest, I think it's possible they can make playoffs, but it's not going to be easy. And I have them basically finishing in that 4 or 5 range in the Metro Division and being in a real tough battle for a spot. I mean, you got to remember, going back to that Metro Division, they have tough teams that are really strong, like Carolina and the Islanders. You still got the Capitals in there that are a really good team. You get Philly, who's made a ton of moves to get better this year. Pittsburgh's always been solid with Crosby and Malkin in the mix there. Rangers, I mean, that's 6 teams right there. You get New Jersey, also has made a lot of moves to try to take steps forward and get better, and they look pretty good, at least on paper too. So you have to think this is going to be pretty much a dogfight to get in. It's not going to be any easy task whatsoever. So while I do think it's possible, I don't think we can say 100% that the Rangers should be a playoff team, but I do think they can be a better team than last year and take some steps forward, regardless if they make playoffs here or not. I think it's fair to say they're definitely going to be a team that's tougher to play against. We're probably going to see a little bit more physical play, a little bit more fighting when necessary. I think it's fair to say that the Reeves and Wilson rivalry will bring itself to New York and Washington, and that should be an intense series of games to watch throughout the coming season. A couple of things for me that are, I guess, your areas to watch or areas of concern really would be the guys that are on short-term deals. Are they trading Zibanejad? Are they signing him long-term? Are they still in the hunt for Jack Eichel? Have they given up on that? Who will be their number 1 center moving forward? I think they need to come to a decision on that. I'm not sure from a cap perspective that they could extend Mika at the money he's going to make and trade for Eichel as well. So I think they need to do one or the other. Ryan Strome has been a decent, productive number 2 center, but I don't really get the sense that they're completely sold on signing him longer term to be that number 2 guy as well. So they have to make a decision there. Obviously, we have a new coaching staff, which is going to obviously implement a different way of playing, different style, different systems, and that could take some adjustment periods time as well. So it's going to be real hard to say exactly what to expect from them. Like I said, then you got your sophomore players, like Lafreniere, for example. You got a rookie in Kravtsov. Kakko has got a little bit of experience. How much of a big step forward are they going to take? We don't know the answers to that yet. So I do think the Rangers are going to continue to be a fun, exciting team. Like I said, things should be different this year. I think they can be in a conversation for playoffs, but it's hard to say with any kind of certainty that they'll make it. And there's a lot of questions here going into this upcoming year. I mean, even though they have a lot of good-looking prospects and there's a lot of young talent to be excited about beyond what we have on this roster even, there's still a lot to take steps forward here to get into that competitive nature, to be a consistent playoff team, to eventually challenge for a Stanley Cup. So I'd love to know what all of your thoughts are out there on the New York Rangers upcoming season. Do you see them being in the playoffs? What are your concerns? What do you think is going to go well? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We will keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.